You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, B&B fans. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I've got a really exciting discussion for you today. This is actually a video made at a fan request here. I had done a video about 5 plots that Y&R really screwed up in 2023, and somebody came in and said, please do one for Bold and the Beautiful. And I think somebody else commented on top of that, yes. And so I was thinking, yeah, that sounds fun. So that's what I'm doing today. So a lot of B&B fans are excited about the writer's strike being over because they think it's going to improve the storylines and pick up the pace. I'm just going to pause for small laughter there. So to be clear, there were writers from the existing team that were serving as the fill-in staff. A co-head writer and an associate writer went FICOR, which is short for financial core. They crossed the picket line and kept writing while head writer and showrunner Bradley Bell stuck to producing. At the same time, I have almost no doubt that he was still in charge of what was being written and that their marching orders came from him, even if he wasn't sitting at a computer in the writing room with them. I expect these were all storylines he had already come up with and had already sketched out. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. So as far as I see it, the problematic plots have nothing to do with the now resolved WGA strike. These troubles are systemic and they flow from the writing room down to the scripts to our TV screens, and they leave us frustrated and wanting either more, or in some cases, a lot less, or just for them to pick up the pace. So we're going to talk about 5 plots that I think Bold really screwed up in 2023. Please click subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of our updates. And I look forward to your comments on the 5 plots that I'm mentioning and any plots that you think I should have mentioned but didn't because you think they were really screwed up too. So the first one I want to talk about is poor Dr. Finn. He has been painted into a corner by these writers simply by the accident of his birth. So this is a very unsatisfactory plot that has a lot of fans on fire. Right now, Finn really has no place to turn and no way to resolve the state of his marriage, and he has not really done anything much wrong. He hugged his awful birth mother in a moment of weakness. And he referred to her as his mom once when he was grateful that she saved his stepdaughter's life. He's not out having lunch with her. They are not going to mother and son school dances. That's not his best friend. They're not texting. They're not on the phone. None of that. So to me, it's like Bold finally came up with a really good guy and gave him to Ridge Forrester on a platter. And then they decided to tie an anvil to him to make him despicable by association. That way they could justify Liam openly pursuing his wife. It is icky to me. Even if you are a Steam fan, a Steffi Liam fan, and you always ship those two, the fact was she was happy with Finn. She was happy with their marriage. It was thriving until the writers dropped Sheila's latest mess into their laps and their lives. So what can Finn do right now after what the writers have done? Lee and Taylor both yelled at him to get Sheila out of your life forever. Steffi told him the same thing, but I mean, short of Finn throwing his mom off a cliff or into a volcano, how does he do that beyond what he's already done? He told his mom already, kick rocks, you can't be in our lives. Since then, Sheila hasn't even been back. So, I mean, what more can he do? The B&B writers have put Finn in a no-win spot, and to me, it feels like it's intentional to relaunch another painful love triangle that none of us wanted or asked for. I think they need to do better. I don't personally think Liam needs to be with Hope or with Steffi. Bring back Ivy for him, or I don't know. Let Liam be single for a hot minute and then later think about getting involved with someone who's, I don't know, maybe not married to somebody else. All right, my second plot issue is Hope Logan messing with a man who is mentally ill. So from the jump, I just want to say I was very excited about Thomas and Hope getting together and getting their shot at what I hoped was romance. I'm still excited about it, but the way that they're writing it has me very worried that they are not ever intending to give Hope and Thomas a happy ending or really a fair shake. It feels to me a bit like they're setting it up for Thomas to completely lose it again and go dark. And that's the concern we heard from Taylor on the most recent episode. Thomas was obsessed with Hope at a point not that long ago. It's been over a year, but in the grand scheme of things, not that long ago. And of course, it turns out he had that thing in his brain that he needed surgery for. He got the surgery. He's been fine since then, other than that CPS call that he made, the fake CPS call. But for my money, Brooke was asking for it because she made a big deal out of him cutting an apple, and she actually threatened to call CPS on him. That wouldn't have even been on Thomas's radar. So I kind of feel like that's on Brooke and Thomas both. I don't even think about that. And, I didn't mind Hope lusting after Thomas. I didn't mind her initiating the kiss in Italy. I don't mind her deciding not to fight for her marriage because she didn't try hard to get Liam to stay. I'm okay with all those things. What I'm not okay with is her continuing to tell Thomas it's just sex when she's watching him fall deeper and deeper in love with him. What I would have liked from this story was for it to have been a love story, not a sex story. I would have liked to see Hope falling for Thomas as her marriage crumbled, not falling in love with his penis and showing no consideration for the man attached to it. Hope is selfishly basking in his affection and his attention, and I don't think she's considering what's at risk for him and that she's the one putting him at risk. It's almost like pouring booze into an alcoholic's mouth and asking if they're okay with it, knowing that you are pushing them off the wagon. I wish this plot had been about love and romance and a lot less about sex. I don't mind their chemistry. I enjoy their chemistry, but they have made this story tawdry, and right now there's someone who is trying to get her groove on top of a man who she knows has some mental health problems. I have a problem with that. I think it's a writing fail, and I'm saying this as somebody who is a Thope fan who's a Thope shipper. So it's bad if I have a problem with it. All right, my third huge plot that I think they just really screwed the pooch with in 2023 was Ridge and Bill's FBI tomfoolery. I've complained about this in other videos. You guys have heard me. You guys have complained in the comments here about this plot. It was so dumb. So dumb that Bill convinced Steffi and Finn to not press charges on Sheila by blackmailing them and threatening to have Taylor arrested for shooting him. So they had 100% sure chance that not even a chance, 100% likelihood that Sheila would go down for shooting her son and daughter-in-law. But then Bill and Ridge decided to play low-rent private investigator / FBI wannabes, and they screwed it all up. So what's really interesting to me is that when Judge Scott first had them all in chambers and he dropped the charges against Sheila, his argument was actually real-world legally valid. You cannot set up surveillance like that hoping to stumble onto something incriminating. The law says, my father-in-law's a lawyer, y'all, you have to know the crime and then go after the evidence. What they did was illegal. It was a fishing expedition. It was kind of entrapment. I saw some comments saying it must have been legit because the FBI was involved. Just rethink that whole thing. Stuff is thrown out of court all the time where the FBI or other law enforcement agencies overstep the bounds of what's allowed, and even people that are guilty get to go free because they didn't play by the rules. That's what happened here. So then the writers decided to make the judge a friend of Deacon's to somehow try and mitigate Bill and Ridge's stupidity. That's my only guess of why this is coming up. The fact that Deacon knew the judge doesn't make it any better. The judge even said this, the case was bad from the jump, and that's why the judge was able to easily and justifiably dismiss the charges. If the writers are going to try and blame this on Deacon, and then Ridge Ridge and Bill are going to come over and start beating their chest about how they would have nailed her, I will hurl. I already have a problem with this plot. I hope they don't aggravate it by having Ridge and Bill come and try to blame Deacon. Not his fault. It's their fault. It's down to the writing people. All right. So my fourth issue is Bold and the Beautiful sidelining diverse characters to bring in shirtless Ridge Forrester. So this really is just huge. And it's the addition of a character that we didn't need for a plot that is pretty interesting. And this is no diss on the actor they cast to play Ridge Forrester, Joshua Hoffman. I have no issues with him as an actor, as a human, whatever. He was not needed for this plot. First, they had him in doing nothing, just taking his shirt off all the time, and now him in this plot. But consider the fact that they didn't need RJ for this. It would not have diminished the plot. It might have actually improved it if they didn't use RJ for this. There are people of color at Forrester Creations that never get screen time that could have filled the role that RJ is playing with Eric's illness plot and this legacy design line. For starters, I don't know, how about Ridge Forrester? He is another grandkid of Eric's. He's not the golden child that Ridge and Brooke spawned, but he is a Forrester, and he is an existing designer already. Ridge could just as easily have worked with Eric on this design project, but instead, we get them bringing in RJ, this Instagram influencer that everyone is talking about like he's the second coming, like he is Da Vinci and Versace reincarnated in one, sketching what Eric tells him to. It is painful. And again, it's not that I dislike RJ or the actor, but there is an actor of color who could have easily played this plot. It would not have diminished the plot in any way. In fact, it would have made a lot more sense, and it would have shown CBS in a better light. The network, I think it was late 2020, early 2021, they released this pledge to start casting all reality shows with 50% diversity starting in the 2021-2022 season. But for scripted shows like Bold and the Beautiful, they just don't seem to care as far as I can see. It is a whitewashed cast on most days. Carter Walton is the only diverse actor from the regular cast that we see fairly frequently, but not all the time. They did just add an Asian actress, but only to balance the fact they added another white male to the cast. For me, this whole thing could have been done a lot better by using Ridge while the network showed a better commitment to diversity. So not only, it's not the plot itself that's the problem, it's the accessories to the plot that I have a problem with. All right, my last thing, I'm just going to say this one word. Taylor. That's all of it. The back and forth with the painfully stale and awkward love triangle, that foolhardy pact with Brooke, which a lot of us kind of liked for a moment, but then they snatched it away when Ridge waggled his peen at Brooke while low-key still waggling it at Taylor too. Brooke thinks her destiny is a man who's always into another woman. Fine. That's fine. Okay. Just keep Taylor out of it. Taylor could bed literally anyone else in LA that's part of the character canvas. She can have Wyatt. She can have Bill. She can have a father-son stallion rodeo of Bill and Wyatt simultaneously. I don't care. Just no more of this Ridge crap. Dig up Prince Omar. Is he still alive? I don't know. I don't care. But just stop backburnering Taylor when her presence would be appreciated. She has been nowhere around when Steffi needed her most or when Thomas was dipping his toe into this fling that could ruin his life. She's back way deep into that story. Can we not just get a story for Taylor that isn't just written like garbage? It could be a romance. It could be a secret crush mystery, some guy from her past, just a penis attached to a man who wants only her and a plot to go with it, please. just please do that. All right. So that's my list of gripes about failed plot points in 2023 on Bold and the Beautiful. Definitely click subscribe if you haven't already. Click like if you enjoyed this conversation. And I cannot wait to read your comments. I'm sure you guys have a lot to say because I see it in the comments daily and on Soap's social media. So I'm super excited to read all your comments. Drop them here. I'll read all your comments and I will read all of these. Thanks so much for listening. This has been Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.